The TVs are out, the reviews are in, you're ready to buy your next TV at a physical location. Somewhere you can drive up, pick out what you want at any size, and throw it in your car or truck and bring it home that very day. One of the best options for that is Costco. Up next.
I've seen things people wouldn't believe.
Hey, what's up guys? I'm Brian. This is Tech Therapy. Thank you so much for joining me as we go into Costco. Now, I do Best Buy walkthroughs, and I started doing Costco walkthroughs around the same time, and other warehouse type stores such as Sam's and even BJ's. The challenge is, over the years, they had less and less high-end or even mid-tier models from all the major manufacturers. But a few years ago, Costco really stepped up, started adding some more mid to high tiers. Now I want to be able to walk in and show you what's in store. Now they have many more options, even short throw projectors online. I only want to show you what's in the physical location. Now, my reasoning for that is I still feel it's very important to be able to do your research online and then walk into a physical location and be able to see just the chassis, the build quality, and even the picture quality if possible. So I'm always rooting for physical retailers such as Best Buy and obviously Costco, as well as mom and pop locations like our good friends at Value Electronics. But Costco is a different animal. They have everything you can imagine, from steaks to sweatpants. You can get new tires. But in the last few years, they actually really stepped up their game in terms of higher end from all the major manufacturers. They also, other than having the membership, which you have to have, the return policy is the best in the business. And as I mentioned, it's somewhere you can go in, get physical TVs, even at very large sizes, and bring them home that very day, as well as bring them back to the same location, no questions asked. So without further ado, here is my walkthrough of my local Costco. Thank you so much for watching. All right, guys, let's do it. Costco, we'll start off with Sony 85-inch X90L full array local dimming XR clear XR cognitive processor. The X90L released last year. It carries over, so it's a 2023-2024 model. Now, I'm in the Milford, Connecticut Costco. I'll also be visiting the Norwalk Costco at the very end of the video, as a very significant TV is missing from this one. Now, there's difference in build quality if you look at the stand from the 2023 Sony's, as a meteor stand, especially at 85, versus the flat stand you see now on the Bravia 8, Bravia 9, and Bravia 7. What surprised me about Sony this year from years past is their presence in this store is full force. They have the entire lineup in this particular Costco, other than the Bravia 9, which is the flagship. This particular Samsung we're going to go back and revisit, is this is the TV they're pushing the most in this particular Costco, as well as the one in Norwalk. Typically, it's a QD OLED, S90C, S90D, or the QN85 Neo QLED being their biggest seller, as well as the crystal displays. We'll show those in a minute. For right now, we'll stay with Sony, as you see the 75-inch X90L. Now, I mentioned to you as well that years past, there was really only Vizio for a while there, Vizio Quantum XP series, and then LG would have the C9 in store. Then Vizio disappeared, and then for a while it was just LG. And Sony re-entered the market with Costco with the A80J in some stores and the 900H. To put that in context, now the entire lineup is actually there, which I love to see. And also seeing a full range of sizes with 85, 75, 65. You want to see that as much as possible. Also surprising is seeing the Bravia 3. The lineup from Sony this year is the Bravia 3, the Bravia 7, Bravia 8, which is a W OLED, and then the flagship Bravia 9. The A95L Quantum Dot OLED carries over, as well as the X90L that you are seeing here. Tremendous value from the X90L. You get all the processing. I love what Sony did this year, as unlike a lot of the other manufacturers, their top processor comes all the way down to the X90L. You do lose that with the Bravia 3, but the Bravia 3 is also an excellent addition. A lot of sizes, and great to see it in a Costco. What I love about this Costco as well is the Sony A80L W OLED. I personally have the 83-inch. Having the leftovers here, also amazing as you see it next to an LG C3. Excellent value for a 77-inch at that price. You can see the design difference on the A80L versus the brand new Bravia 8. A80L has your very traditional OLED body, very thin with the large back. The Bravia 8 is more streamlined, almost like the LG G4. Great to see the C3 there as well. Now as we look over at the C4 on the other side, I'll show you the C4 kiosk in a moment. I like that the older models are still there. I just want them clearly defined. C3, C4, you get that it's last year's model and the price reflects that. In a little while, we'll show you the QD OLEDs in Norwalk where that's not quite as clear, and I don't love that. A80L, tremendous display, also one of the only OLEDs with XR clear. Here is the Bravia 8. You'll see the design difference right here. Very similar to the LG G4. It's not a gapless wall mount or anything. Slightly better than last year's Bravia 8. One of my favorite TVs of the year. What you get with the Bravia 8 over the A80L is the new user interface, slightly brighter, completely new chassis, new body. And if you're a gamer, you have 3 gaming presets, where the A80L is, again, a 2023 model. You do not have that. To me, that can be the differences in price. If that's important to you, it is definitely worth it. Again, one of the best TVs of the year, and there's the Bravia 8. You can see the numbers are different. A big surprise here is the Bravia 7. Now, the Bravia 7, much like last year's X93, is going to end up being one of the most overlooked TVs of the year. I've heard directly from Sony, be careful judging the Bravia 7 in store. It has been updated a few times. The local dimming is much better, though the local dimming on the 65-inch that I reviewed in the beginning of the year was very good. So if you do see them in a Best Buy or in another location, keep in mind that they will need to be updated. The local dimming has improved greatly. But I think, like the X93, it's a TV that many of you are going to overlook. But unlike the X93, you do have the XR processor here in the Bravia 7. I'm going to follow up at Value Electronics and shoot, hopefully, the Bravia 7 at 85 inches or 75 inches. From all these manufacturers, I love seeing the dedication with the kiosk. Very important to have a store presence, especially at these warehouse stores. Again, for years, they didn't have any of these higher end TVs, let alone the mid-tier. It was typically very low-end Crystal series, low-end LGs, things of that nature, which is why I stopped filming at these locations. But it is amazing to be able to walk in and see 85-inch TVs right there. And I also do personally feel, because they're shipped on a large pallet, they're not handled quite as much. And the ability to take the TV that day, put it in your car and go home is something that's kind of lost these days. Even at Best Buy, you'll still have to order from the store on some of the very large TVs. No one wants to carry inventory anymore. So the ability to walk in and say, I'll take that one and bring it home is something I still think has value. Now, I'm not going to go over each individual price. I'll show them. You can check them out at your leisure. But seeing the Bravia 3 here and seeing Sony's entire lineup, very interesting considering they probably had the least amount of TVs. Now, in my opinion, Samsung has actually taken a step back as the QD OLED is actually missing in this particular Costco. Now, the Bravia 3, you can see it had a weird effect. That's just the demo. It happens to one of the other TVs. You can see it over in the corner, like a bluish. I would say one knock on the Costco is really not having any demo material on their TVs. They used to have a lot more. Now it's just the Costco commercials running. But again, great to see the A80L price right there, and then also seeing the Bravia 8 price as well. Now, the Bravia 9 is the star of the lineup, but keep in mind, last year's A80L was again a sleeper hit. This is when you guys are really going to buy. I suggest circling back and really checking out each manufacturer's lineup. Once you get past the stars of the lineup, be it the LG G4 or the Bravia 9 or the Samsung QN900D Neo QLED, it's time to circle back and then look at that mid-tier and realize the best TVs out there are really not talked about as much. Now, I personally like the LG QNED lineup. They do look excellent in store. Everyone sleeps on these. I just did a review of the QNED 89T 98-inch. The TV is stunning. My favorite large TV at this moment. They're not advertised much. I will actually follow up and cover them more in depth. Now, these other models like the UT80, I typically don't go below the QNED lineup for LG. For me, this is where Samsung kind of runs it with their Crystal series. And for me at this tier, a lot of these TVs are interchangeable. So I would stick with the brand that you trust and like. Now, I love here that it's 2023, it's clearly a C3. And then you have C4. Later on with the Samsung S90C or S90D, you're gonna have a hard time figuring that out. We're gonna show that to you later in the video. So in this particular Costco, very large Sony presence. Later on in the Norwalk Costco, almost no Sonys at all. What is consistent in each one is LG. They have C3s in both locations. They also have the smaller C4s, and they have the LG kiosk. LG has been very consistent in Costco's for the last several years, from what I saw, starting with the LG C9. There you have the C4. Now, I like the C4 quite a bit better than the C3. Though they are incremental upgrades, I do notice the differences in brightness, some of the changes in the UI, 144 Hertz gaming now, Dolby Vision, filmmaker mode. To me, you have to figure out for yourself if those differences are worth it. For me, 144 Hertz gaming, definitely worth it. That starts with the C4. And if you like Dolby Vision, LG has the best implementation, in my opinion, of Dolby Vision. Dolby Vision filmmaker mode, I use it on my C4. It is very good if you like that accurate image. Typically, you lose that with Dolby Vision. You have that now. Now, these little differences, these subtle differences from year to year, that might be worth more to you. Now, if you look at LG, they have the best 42 and 48-inch OLEDs in the business. Now, why do I say that? They have the gaming features. The Alpha 9 processor is excellent. And you're getting consistent picture quality across the board, where with Samsung, you lose the QD OLEDs. They get down to just being W OLEDs. The processing is not quite as good. And for me, the Sony OLEDs at that size are just very expensive for just being W OLEDs. And typically at the 42, 48, you're probably using it as a monitor, a gaming monitor. I still go with LG for that being one of the best at gaming in the business. I personally own the 42-inch LG C4, and I love it, use it every day. And there's something about LG being in the OLED business as long as they have. Really do stay with them, trust them as you look at another QNED 85. I'll be checking out the QNED 86-inch at Value Electronics probably next week. Now, sticking with why to buy from Costco, you can buy extra protection with the Allstate. Does not cover burn-in, but I will also say that the return policy is 90 days, which is unheard of in our industry. No questions asked. Not saying you should be returning TVs, but it's one of the few places you can return a TV if you're not a fan of it. Typically, you have to pay a restocking fee, but you are a member paying for a membership. If you pay for the executive membership, I believe it's $120 a year. You do get a gift card if you do spend money. I think I have a gift card of like $150 to use. Now, the best Samsung TV here, and a TV that they've had for many years, which is probably the TV we recommend from Samsung, is the QN85 Neo QLED. Now, in the 4K lineup, Samsung has almost too many options. They have sizes and options for everyone, but having the QD OLEDs there, they begin to cannibalize their own lineup with the Q6, Q7. For me, where we start to really review these is the QN85 and up. And now also getting refused samples from the manufacturer. I have Samsung TVs now from Samsung. They start the reviews at QN90. So we really couldn't review them for you in depth, even if we could, other than buying them ourselves. But we tend to recommend that this is where the best bang for the buck and the highest end picture quality starts, is in the 85. At times in the store, the 85 would typically be ADS panel would outperform the VA panel. I think they're all VA this year though, but typically that beginning area would outperform the 90 in some places. Now, this is the one they're really pushing now, is the 75 Q72D. This is the one they have the most of. This would be their Q7. This is where Costco's numbers get a little confusing. For them, 7D would be 7D, like 70 and 7D. The Crystal series for me is still their best selling, and the one that you would see at most Costco's when you walk in. 85 inches. And there is a 100-inch version this year, I believe. We haven't seen it yet. I did see it actually at Samsung, but wasn't able to film it. That's probably the most popular model for them. So surprising to see them pushing the Q72D. Back to Costco, being able to walk in and buy it yourself, buy it online and return it there is another gift. Checking out HISENSE. Now, HISENSE and TCL, this is where I think it's a missed opportunity for both HISENSE and TCL. Both of them are trying to shed that value-based moniker. And while you'll see the Q6 here from TCL, I do believe they would be much better served having at least the Q7 in store. I'm glad they're still here. Again, high-end picture quality for a tremendous value. But I'd rather see their higher end, at least for HISENSE, the U6N, U7N. Models that I'm more familiar with. Now the 6D here, the QD6, that could be the 6N. Not 100% sure, it probably is. Waiting for the U7N HISENSE to be delivered to me and the U6N. I'll compare that to the U8N for you guys, all at 65 inches. Both HISENSE and TCL have really stepped up in the last number of years to be industry leaders. I'd love to see their higher end TVs in stores like this. So it's interesting watching them change positions. See Sony go really hard with their entire lineup, Bravia 8, Bravia 7, other than the 9, obviously. But watching these manufacturers pivot is very interesting. Now, I mentioned that online there are more options. Same goes for Target, Walmart, things of that nature. However, I'm in store for you. Now, while Walmart and Target may offer some of these options, their return policies might even be 15 days. Best Buy, unless you're part of their customer elite status, which I used to have, it might be 30 days. Now here I'm going to be towards the end of this video. I believe I'm in the Norwalk location now, and there you see the same Samsung. And what you see there is a QD OLED. That was missing in the Milford location. This is a QD OLED. This is last year's S90CD. This TV was sold out virtually everywhere last year, one of the best values of all TVs last year. There is the price. We're going to spend some time on this because being able to discern what year it's from, you have to look here. On the sticker, you'll see 2023, just to make sure, because last year was the S90C. This year, it's the S90D, the flagship being the S95D. S90, no one connect box. Here is the replacement, the S90CD. For all intentional purposes, they look exactly the same body, same design, but very confusing, same name. Now this design is different than the S90D I have at home, which I'll show you in a moment. Meaning for me, this is the exact same TV that you'll see in that pink box on the other side. I'll go back and forth quickly to show you. This is the one thing I do not like from buying from these stores. The S90CD is a Costco model. I don't know what you gain or what you lose in terms of features, probably nothing. But the fact is the S90D and the S90C and D are the same model from last year. From what I can tell, it's just a different box. Now the Bravia 3 is still here. I did not really see the Bravia 8 in this Norwalk location. The HISENSE is larger in this location. No A80L here either, and no Bravia 7 in Norwalk. So interesting seeing the difference in presence, showing you the same TCLs we saw in the other store. So my advice to you is if you do want to buy from Costco, if you have them close to each other, check them both out, like I am. They're within 45 minutes of each other, or look online and order online. But in your physical locations, they do not have the same things in both stores. In theory, the Norwalk one is in a larger city. You think they'd have more options. They do not. Again, pushing the Q7. They do have the Crystal series, which you'll see here, but they're missing the 85-inch size. I'd love to see the 100-inch here. Now back to the S90CD. I'm taking the prices right there and matching them up. And I'm going to carry this around and show you the, just again, looking at the SKU. We're looking for a part number, which isn't there other than the model number. We're going to go around the horn, giving you that Blair Witch Cloverfield camera, Bourne Identity camera angle. There's the box. The box is different. The key is within a few $100s of each other. My fingers on the screen. Obviously the S90, if that was the true S90D from this year, it would not cost that. It would be substantially more expensive. So if you see the pink box, that is last year's model, though right across from it or behind it, you'll see this year's model with the blue box. If that's important to you, it shows you they're virtually the same. Now here is my S90D from my studio. You can see the design is very different. The stand is completely different. They look completely different. Now, I would tell you that the S90D from last year, or the S90C, they are virtually the same. For me, the body is different. Probably the best gaming TV in the world because there isn't a one connect box. It is a quantum dot OLED. This is hands down the best Samsung in store. I just do not like that they're the same model as last year and they just switched the box. So be mindful of that. And more importantly, you clearly saw an S90D at 77 inches, which is what this one is. And here they max out at 65 inches. So I figured that would be important for you guys to check out. Back to the Crystal Samsungs, which are the most popular. But the Quantum Dot OLED would be the best Samsung, followed by the QN85 Double D, which is the model of this one, or the more Neo QLED model, I should say. But the Crystal is still their best model as far as sales. I do like that you're now seeing Sony soundbars, Sonos soundbars. You're also seeing the corresponding LG soundbar, which you'll see next to the C4, giving you that ability to walk into the store and buy. So other than the membership, I think with Costco, the best thing is the return policy and the ability to go in and get it. You have, again, 90 days. You have also a 1-year warranty from the manufacturer, which they'll still honor. And they'll take TVs back a couple of years later, which I've seen. Definitely recommend buying from them if you're local to them. It is worth it. Limited models, and it looks like they have a lot of TVs, but reality, you see the same models, just different sizes. Aisle after aisle. There's not that many options. There's more than ever, but when you get down to it, there's not that many. Check different stores for different availability. I'm Brian. This is Tech Therapy. Thank you so much for joining me. Please consider liking and subscribing. Take care. Love you guys.
It's better to burn out than to fade away. There can be only one.